Your cells are dying right now, not from disease, not from age, from noise. The relentless electric noise of a mind that never stops. And the most terrifying part? The cure was hidden inside a Zen monastery for over 1,000 years. They called it Wu Xin, the non-mind. A state so silent, so absolute, that the body stops burning itself alive and begins, for the first time in years, to actually heal. What if the most powerful repair mechanism your biology possesses is not a supplement, not a surgery, not a therapy session, but silence itself? Not the absence of sound, the absence of self. Today, we are going to decode what modern cellular biology and ancient Zen masters discovered about the same truth from completely opposite directions. And by the time this video ends, you will understand something that most doctors, most trainers, and most wellness gurus have never told you. Your mind is either building you or destroying you. There is no middle ground. And right now, for most people reading this, it is quietly tearing your cells apart. Before we go deeper, I need you to do something. Go to the comments right now. Type this decree. I quiet the storm. Do it now. Set the intention before we begin, because the mind that reads these words is the same mind we are about to retrain. I quiet the storm. Make it real. Let us begin. There is a concept in modern neuroscience called the default mode network. Scientists discovered it almost by accident in the early 2000s when they noticed that certain regions of the brain did not turn off when a person rested. In fact, they became even more active. These regions, clustered in the medial prefrontal cortex and the posterior cingulate cortex, fired relentlessly whenever a person was not engaged in a specific task. Whenever the mind was left to wander, left to think about the past, left to rehearse the future, left to judge, compare, plan, regret, and narrate. Neuroscientists named this the default mode network, but the Zen masters had a name for it too. They called it the monkey mind, the mind that never sits still, the mind that jumps from branch to branch, from thought to thought, never landing, never resting, never releasing its grip. And here is where it becomes biological, not philosophical. When your default mode network is chronically overactive, when the monkey mind is running the show 24 hours a day, your body produces an unbroken river of cortisol. Cortisol is not a villain in small doses. It is a critical stress hormone that sharpens your focus in moments of real danger. But when it runs continuously, when the threat is not a tiger in the jungle, but an unread email or an unresolved argument from 3 years ago, it becomes a slow, invisible poison. Cortisol at chronic levels does something catastrophic to your cells. It suppresses a process that Nobel Prize-winning biologist Yoshinori Ohsumi spent his entire career studying, a process called autophagy. The word comes from the Greek words for self and eating, and that is exactly what it is. Your cells eating themselves, not in a destructive sense, in a miraculous, self-cleaning, biological renovation sense. Autophagy is your body's ancient recycling program. When it activates, your cells identify damaged proteins, broken organelles, and cellular debris that has accumulated over time, and they systematically dismantle and recycle them. It is like sending a cleaning crew into a factory that has been running non-stop for decades. The rusty machinery gets stripped down, the junk gets cleared out. New, functional components get built from the recycled parts. The factory runs cleaner, stronger, and more efficiently than it has in years. This is not metaphor. This is not wellness marketing. Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2016, specifically for mapping how this process works at the molecular level. Researchers have since linked autophagy activation to cellular longevity, reduced inflammation, protection against neurodegeneration, enhanced immune function, and even cancer prevention. The science is not fringe. It is foundational. And here is the problem. Chronic cortisol, the biological fingerprint of the monkey mind, directly suppresses autophagy. When cortisol floods your system continuously, it activates a signaling pathway called the mammalian target of rapamycin, which researchers abbreviate as a specific cellular complex, but which you can simply understand as the biological off switch for the cleaning crew. When cortisol tells that pathway to stay active, autophagy shuts down. The cleaning crew goes home. The debris accumulates. The damage compounds. Day after day, year after year, decade after decade. This is not aging as inevitability. This is aging as an instruction your own stressed mind sends to your body every single day. Now let us cross the ocean. Let us go to 12th century Japan, to the meditation halls of Rinzai Zen masters who had no knowledge of cortisol, no instruments to measure autophagy, and no Nobel Prize committees to impress. What they had was something else entirely. Direct, ruthless, low empirical observation of the human mind and body under conditions of extreme stillness. The state they were pointing toward, what they called Wu Xin in Chinese or Mushin in Japanese, translates literally as no mind. But they were not talking about unconsciousness. They were not talking about going blank or checking out. They were describing something far more precise. The state in which the thinking mind, the narrating self, the default mode network that constantly generates a story about who you are, what happened to you, and what might happen next, goes completely quiet. Not suppressed, not pushed down, genuinely, organically quiet. When a Zen archer releases an arrow, when a Zen calligrapher draws a single brushstroke, when a Zen swordsman moves in absolute presence, they describe the same experience. There is no thinker. There is only the action. The self dissolves. The boundary between the body and the moment collapses. What remains is pure, undivided, living awareness. And what the neuroscience now confirms is that in that state, the default mode network does not just quiet down. It goes offline in a way that no other activity can replicate. Not exercise, not entertainment, not sleep in the ordinary sense, not functional magnetic resonance. Imaging scans of experienced meditators entering deep states of present moment awareness show a deactivation of the default mode network that corresponds directly to measurable drops in circulating cortisol, measurable increases in parasympathetic nervous system tone, and measurable spikes in the activity of cellular repair pathways. The monks were inducing autophagy. They did not know the word, but they knew the effect. They called it the body becoming light, and the joints becoming soft, the skin becoming clear, the organs feeling clean, a sense of returning to a younger, more resilient version of the self. Not because of anything they did to the body, because of what they stopped doing to the mind. Here is the part that most people miss. The non-mind is not a destination you arrive at after years of monastic practice and perfect lotus posture. It is available to you right now, in this moment. It is not something you build. It is something you uncover. The Zen masters had a phrase for this too. Your original face, the awareness that was already present before thought constructed the person you think you are. And there is a gateway, a biological shortcut that bridges the ancient practice and the modern body. It lives in your breath. More specifically, it lives in the ratio between your inhale and your exhale. When you breathe in, your heart rate accelerates slightly. This is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. When you breathe out, your heart rate slows. This is controlled by the vagus nerve, the main highway of the parasympathetic nervous system. Every exhale is, literally, a biological signal to your body that the danger has passed, that it is safe to lower the cortisol, that it is safe to send the cleaning crew back in. When you extend your exhale to be twice as long as your inhale, when you breathe in for 4 counts and out for 8, you are not doing a breathing exercise. You are directly stimulating the vagus nerve with a precision that no pill can replicate. You are manually overriding the sympathetic activation that your monkey mind has been feeding for years. You are turning the switch. You are opening the door to non-mind. But breath alone is only the key. You still have to walk through the door. Here is how the Zen tradition walked through it, and how the biology confirms every step. The practice begins not with the mind, but with the body. Specifically, with the hara, the center of gravity located approximately 2 inches below the navel and 2 inches inward. In Japanese martial arts, in Zen archery, in classical dance, in every tradition that cultivated this state of non-mind, the practitioner was taught to drop their attention from the head, where the chattering default mode network lives, and anchor it in the hara. Not metaphorically, physically. You feel the weight of your body. You feel the floor beneath your feet. You feel gravity pulling you downward into the earth. This is not mysticism. This is a neurological interrupt. When you redirect proprioceptive attention to a location below the center of mass, you force your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain most associated with narrative self-referential thinking, to reduce its dominance over your moment-to-moment experience. You are down-regulating the default mode network through bottom-up sensory input rather than top-down conceptual effort. The monks called it sinking the chi. The neuroscientists call it embodied attention. They are describing the same phenomenon from different ends of the same telescope. Stand up right now, or sit with your spine completely vertical. Find your hara. Feel the subtle rise and fall of your abdomen. Do not think about your breath. Feel it. Feel the temperature of the air entering your nostrils. Feel the floor beneath you. Notice what happens to thought when you do this. It does not stop immediately, but it becomes quieter. It moves further away. Like a television in another room you stop paying attention to. The thoughts simply stop generating the urgency that triggers cortisol. Your body becomes the main event. Silence becomes the main event. This is the doorway. This is Wu Xin beginning to open. The next layer is what the Zen masters called Shoshin, beginner's mind. They said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. What they were pointing toward is the neurological state of open, non-anticipatory perception. The state in which you look at the world without the filter of what you already know, what you already expect, what you already fear. Every time you interact with your environment through the lens of stored memory and projected future, your default mode network is running the show. Every time you manage to perceive something as if for the first time, without the overlay of narrative and judgment, the default mode network goes quiet. Autophagy wakes up. The cleaning crew returns to work. You can practice beginner's mind right now with any sensation in your environment. The sound of air moving through the room, the pressure of your clothing against your skin. Treat every sensation as if you have never encountered it before, not as a performance, as a genuine inquiry. What is this sensation exactly? Not what you think it is. What it actually is in this moment, in this body. When you do this for even 60 seconds, functional brain imaging shows a measurable deactivation of the regions associated with self-referential processing. Cortisol drops, vagal tone rises. The cellular environment shifts from emergency and suppression to restoration and repair. This is not a side effect of non-mind. This is the primary mechanism. The Zen masters were not seeking transcendence for its own sake. They were discovering, through 1,000 years of direct experimentation with the human organism, that the mind in its ordinary, noise-generating, self-narrating state is the primary obstacle to the body's natural healing intelligence, and that removing that obstacle, even temporarily, even imperfectly, even for a few minutes each day, changes the biology in ways that accumulate over time. 3 months of consistent practice. That is what the research suggests. 3 months of daily engagement with non-mind, even in short sessions, is enough to produce measurable structural changes in the brain. The prefrontal cortex thickens. The amygdala reduces in volume and reactivity. The hippocampus increases in density. The default mode network does not disappear, but its grip loosens. Its noise becomes background rather than foreground. And at the cellular level, the changes are equally profound. Telomere length, the biological marker of cellular aging that shortens with every stress-triggered replication, has been shown in multiple studies to stabilize and, in some cases, lengthen in long-term practitioners of contemplative states. Nobel laureate Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2009 for her work on telomeres, co-authored research demonstrating that meditation-based stress reduction programs increased telomerase activity in participants. Telomerase is the enzyme that repairs and extends telomeres. The monks called it reversing the decay of years. The molecular biologists call it telomerase activation. They are looking at the same truth. You do not need a monastery. You do not need a teacher. You need this, right now. Close your eyes for a moment after reading this paragraph. Find your hara. Feel the floor. Extend your exhale. Let thought become background noise. Let your body be the foreground. Let awareness be the only thing that is present. Not you being aware. Not the story of you. Just awareness itself. Looking out through your eyes, feeling through your skin, breathing through your lungs, without a narrator, without an agenda, without a next thing to do. Even 10 seconds of that is enough to shift the signal. Even 10 seconds is enough to tell your cells, the emergency is over. Begin repairs, clean the machinery, rebuild what was broken. You are safe, you are here, you are alive. This is the ancient technology. This is the biological truth. And this is only the beginning of what Wu Xin can do to a human body that finally, truly stops fighting itself. You have just been given something the modern world forgot existed. Not a technique, not a trend, a frequency. The frequency your cells have been waiting for beneath all that noise. Right now, as you read this, if you let even one breath go completely, even 1 second of genuine stillness pass through you, your body is already responding, already beginning to clean, to rebuild, on to remember what it felt like before the weight of the monkey mind settled in. That memory lives in your biology. You did not lose it. You buried it under years of cortisol and noise. Today, you began to dig it back up. Your decree for today: I quiet the storm. If something in this video landed in your body, not just your mind, then you already understand what pure Zen space is building here. This channel exists for one reason: to give you the ancient keys to your own biology. Every week we go deeper. Every video brings you one step closer to the version of yourself that is strong, clear, light, and free. Hit the subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell so you never miss a transmission. And if this video opened something in you, share it with one person who is still carrying the weight of an unquiet mind. That might be the most powerful thing you do today. We will see you in the next silence.